Hey, welcome back to another Warhammer Fantasy Battles many years late army book review. Today, it's Tomb Kings. I just did a live video for me, it was a matter of minutes ago, where I said which book next, and this one was overwhelmingly requested for doing Tomb Kings today. And if you notice, this is uploaded on a atypical day for me around these videos, but don't worry, there is still going to be another one this weekend. So, Tomb Kings. The crap of the crap. No, that's out of there. So Tomb Kings were not a great book. It's one of the first that came out, if not the first. I forget already. In 8th edition. So it suffered from early edition army book codex type things. You know, you never want to be the first book in a new edition of a game. That being said, there are some caveats I'm going to go through that we have to get through before we start this video. One, I'm going to first define what competitive means because I'm going to review this book from a competitive standpoint. And what competitive means to me is not tournament. Competitive is the everyday match play, is most commonly term used now, where people are going to play a game of Warhammer or whatnot, and they're both going to try to win. They both may not take the best of the best, but they're not intending to take the worst of the worst. When I say something like take Unit A over Unit B, is Unit A will be marginally or even just slightly more efficient for its point cost at doing a particular job. That doesn't mean Unit B is bad. There are many uses for everything in every game, but you know, I'm just going to review this like from that point of view. Secondly, once again, this is not going to take into effect any of the tournament comp systems that are out there because I know there are many. So I'm just going to review this book in regards to the 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battles rule book, and that's how the game is going to be played. Because honestly, once you add a tournament comp, things change. Now, there's the first review, I think it's the 7th one? I can't even remember. This is the first review where I have to add to that, and I have to say, when we record Tomb King Bat Reps at Mini Wargaming, and pretty much for this channel, we have allowed the Tomb King player, which is almost always Luca, to add an additional 400 points to his army. So in a 2,000 point game, the Tomb Kings are going to get 2,400 points. Now, that is, I know I just said I'm not going to review this in comparison to comps. That is the most commonly thing added to the Tomb Kings for any tournament. The book is so widely regarded as underpowered that they basically just allow the army to have about 20% more points to play with than any. Beastmen get the same thing, but forget. So that is one thing I'm going to point out. This book is so mediocre, competitively, that it tends to lose its game. So we just give them a few hundred extra points. That being said, there are still a lot of good things in this book, and it's a very interesting book aesthetically, playstyle. It's got a lot going for it, and it is a fan favorite. I know a lot of people love this army. Just know that, you know, if you're playing Tomb Kings and you're losing all your games, that's common. Alright, let's talk about the Tomb King army special rules. They are the Nehekhara undead. So they have unstable, unbreakable, they cause fear. They can't march ever. And they can only hold when charged. Yeah, they can't even stand and shoot. They have to have a Hierophant. A Hierophant is the model or the character narratively that awakens the Tomb Kings from their slumber. So this is the model that maintains the magic that controls the well, not the mummies, but the skeletons pretty much. So it must be one wizard in your army must be a Hierophant. It must be the highest level wizard. You to pick if you have multiple level 4s. The Hierophant adds a 6 up regeneration to the unit he joins, or she. I guess it could be she. And then when the Hierophant dies, much like the Vampire Count's vampire, who has to have something that maintains the magic controlling the undead, when the Hierophant dies, everybody has to do a leadership test and take wounds in, you know, it differs for the leadership test. I believe you do it in the same phase, at the end of the phase in which you destroy. And at the start of a friendly turn thereafter. Now, the interesting thing here is, in Vampire Counts, another wizard can go ahead and take control and maintain the army's strength if the general dies. It doesn't look like that's the case for the Tomb Kings, unfortunately. Battle Center Bears work a little bit differently because they don't do leadership. Within 12 of the Battle Center Bear, you crumble 1 less. There are also animated constructs. They basically have a 5-up armor save. and they also crumble 1 less. So if they're within 12 of a banner, they crumble 2 less if they lose combat. And we have Arrows of Asap. So Asap is one of the goddesses, one of the priestesses, one of the goddesses actually, one of the goddesses of Nehekhara. And basically, not basically, why am I saying basically? What it does, Arrows of Asap do is your bows just never suffer modifiers. So you're pretty much looking at the ballistic skill of the army would be pretty much 2. You're going to be throwing 5s to hit all the time. But that means you're ignoring hard cover, you're ignoring soft cover, you're ignoring moving and firing, you're ignoring all that stuff, which is arguably quite better than regular ballistic skill. So Arrows of Asap, awesome. That's your main thing, honestly, in this book. That's your main go-to. I mean, the fact that you're unbreakable and unstable and undead and cause fear, those are all whatever. Fear's still garbage in 8th edition. That's what it is. But yeah, I mean, you're undead, fantastic. But you're the main strength of your army is the Arrows of the Asap, of Asap. That is your poison, basically, but not quite poison. No, sorry, not poison. Poison is wounding. There are ways of actually getting that, but we'll talk about that later. Actually, we probably won't be talking about that because that is a named character. Okay, we have to talk about her briefly. I'm getting some poison arrows. Okay, you also have the Entombed Beneath the Sands special rules. Certain units in this book can be entombed beneath the sands, which is really cool. But they come on like, I mean, the easiest way to explain it is like reinforcements. You got to roll, you place a marker, you got to roll. You roll 1 or 2, the unit is destroyed and treated as casualties. 3 and 4 is 2 deep, and you roll again the following turn, I believe. Yeah. And then 5, 6, unit enters the battlefield from any point randomly. Oh! On a randomly determined board edge. Using the rules for reinforcements. You know what? I misunderstood this whole section. We're going to back up a second, and we're going to read it, because that is clearly the mishap table, not how you come on. So this back up, I jumped ahead. I assumed something is something I should never do when doing these reviews. I ignored the big paragraph of rules and looked at the chart. What it is, I ignored all this and went right to this. Right to this, assuming I know everything. But you know what? I don't. Let's go ahead and read this proper. So your unit with this ability has the Ambusher special rule, with the following exceptions. When these units enter the battle in the remaining move subphase, they do not move on the board as reinforcements in the normal way. Instead, when a unit with the Entombed Beneath the Sands enters the battle, place a small marker, usually a coin, anywhere on the battlefield that is not in an impassable terrain or with 1 inch of a deployed unit. Roll a scatter die and artillery die. If you roll a hit on the scatter die, the marker stays in place. If you roll an arrow, you move it. You move it to the scatter. Once the final position is established, place the emerging unit in legal formation such that it touches the marker facing any direction. If you roll a misfire, or if for any reason some of the malls in the unit cannot be placed, the unit does not emerge. Instead, remove the marker and roll in the mishap table. So we just cover the mishap table, but yeah, it's not actually that dangerous. Somebody wrote in this book, can deploy normally. I don't know why. Who wrote in my book? Wait. I think it's my handwriting. I'm pretty positive that's my handwriting. Okay. I wrote can deploy normally. Some product placement there for you. One thing I want to point out that this Tomb King of the Sand thing is we didn't realize for quite a long time. So I think I've played Tomb Kings in the past. Luca plays them now, plus there's another player in the area. We've played many games where you just kind of scatter the marker and that's where the unit appears. Not realizing that is done in the remaining move subphase. The unit still gets to move. I can't tell you how many times Luca has Entombed Beneath the Sands his Scorpion, and it's scattered in a way that just blocked his plan. Forgetting the fact that the Scorpion can then move in the remaining moves phase. He still gets to do a full move, right? Okay, so 2 minutes stands. It's hit or miss. I've personally not in 8th edition ever seen Tomb Beneath the Sands be effective. That's not to say that it is not. You got one thing I point out is I'm by no means a Tomb. I guess I'm reviewing this more of a, I've played against him a bunch of times, and you know what, I like Warhammer, and I like reviewing the books. But I have never really seen successful Entombed Beneath the Sands have a big impact in the game. To the point that Luca has lately not even bothering to entomb, like, for example, I can't remember what they're called. Wow, we'll get to them. He doesn't even bother entombing the, whatever the guys are called that don't have to be entombed. He just puts them on the table, deploys them normally, and uses them like a regular unit. It just doesn't seem to work. Which is weird. There's more writing in this book. You know what? So, next page is the Tomb King. And I wrote next to the curse. Must allocate in challenge. I must have put notes into this book according to one of the FAQs. Okay, so your big bad leader is the Tomb King or Tomb Prince. So the Tomb King is movement 4, standard Warhammer movement, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness 5. That's also very nice. 4 wounds, 3 initiative, 4 attacks, leadership 10. What are we paying for a Tomb King? Back in the days, these books weren't laid out great, so we have to go back and forth for all our rules. 170 points. That seems not bad at all, actually. 170 points for those stats. You are flammable, unfortunately. You're wrapped up in all that embalming fluid and cloth wraps. And you have the Nehekhara Undead, but you also have the Curse. If a model with the Curse rule is removed from play, then the enemy unit responsible, by inflicting the final wound, for example, will immediately suffer D6 Strength 5 hits. Or D6 Strength 4 hits if it's a Tomb Prince. And distribute shooting. These wounds will count towards the combat result. So it's a nice special rule. You're not gonna base a tactic around it, but also, I mean, have your Tomb King die in a challenge, getting, you know, potentially D6 more combat resolution. I know you can't go past 5 in a challenge, but I mean, if maybe you get your Tomb King on a chariot and force a bunch of attacks against him, and he dies, and the unit will still take that D6 Strength 5 hits. So, you know what? The curse is not a bad special rule. It doesn't appear like you're paying points for that curse. Maybe the curse is kind of offset by the flammable, which, I don't know. Flammable sucks, but mummies have always had it in war. 170 points seems like a bargain. Leadership is whatever because you're undead. You don't really care. The strength and toughness 5 with 4 attacks, weapon skill 6 isn't terrible, but there is more. We have the My Will Be Done. Any unit of Nehekhara Undead accompanied by a model with this special rule uses the character's unmodified weapon skill in place of his own. But handing out that weapon skill 6 to one of your units, not terrible. Not terrible at all. Now, the Tomb Prince has weapon skill 5, strength 4, but still toughness 5. Only 3 wounds and 3 attacks, and leadership 9. And the Tomb Prince is going to run you 100 points. Not that much cheaper, but 100 points. And he can be the BSB, obviously. Now, for equipment, they're going to be both the same. Well, you can take a great weapon, a flail, a spear, a shield, and you can be mounted on a chariot, a war sphinx. We'll talk about war sphinx later, but that's not a viable option. A chariot's not. War sphinx isn't a bad option. Chariot isn't a bad option either. But the great weapon is the most common thing I've seen on it. It only comes with light armor with no other option of buying heavier armor. You have measure item. So light armor and a great weapon is going to cost you 176 points, and that's a solid start for a beefy character. Now we have Lich Priest next. There is a Lord level version. Yeah, okay. So Lich Priests are wizards and use spells from the lore of Nehekhara, or the lore of light, or the lore of death. Okay, so the stats are honestly they're human stats with 1 less initiative. Lich Priest. Ooh, the Lich Priest is okay. Movement 4, weapon skill, plus skill, strength, toughness 3, 2 wounds, 2 initiative, 1 attack, leadership 7, and then the Lord level 1 is leadership with the extra toughness and the extra wound. Now, what are we talking for points on these ones? Lich High Priest starting out at 170 points, 175 points, standard 35 point upgrade to make it level 4, and then the level 2. or sorry, the level 1 is 70 points with the standard 35 point. See, unfortunately, the standard upgrade for wizards being 35 points for wizard level, it's pretty much the case to all of 8th edition. It never quite made sense. I mean, some wizards are better than others. Like I would like upgrading a goblin to a level. Whatever. It is neither here nor there. Ooh, did I lie? Tomb Heralds are next. Can a Tomb Prince not be a BSB? Ooh, I lied. A Tomb Prince may not be a BSB. The Tomb Herald can be your BSB. Now, Tomb Herald is significantly cheaper than the Tomb Prince, but his stats represent it. Okay, so the Tomb Herald is the model that can be upgraded to your BSB. My apologies. There's already comments. Movement 4, weapon skill 4, strength, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness only 4, not bad. 2 wounds, leadership 3, 3 attacks, leadership 8, 60 points, 60, can be the BSB. Other than that, standard equipment, it does have flammable. He does have killing blow built in. And he has a sworn bodyguard special rule. Can take, great weapon, spear, flail, same equipment, and can be on a steed or a chariot. What is a sworn bodyguard? If you have any Tomb Kings or Tomb Princes in your army, you must nominate one of them for the Tomb Herald to protect at the start of the game. The same character may not be nominated by several Tomb Heralds. The oath is a sacred one between blah blah fluff. Whenever a nominated character suffers a wound before saves are taken, the Tomb Herald is in the same unit. Roll d6. On a 1, the wound is resolved as normal, but on a 2+, the wound is intercepted and reallocated to the Tomb Herald. No more than 1 wound can be reallocated to each Tomb Herald in each phase. Wounds suffered by the Tomb King or Prince in a challenge cannot be reallocated. It's a duel of honor, and the Tomb Herald may not interfere. I've never seen anybody do that. I didn't even know that was a thing. Do I like that? I don't know. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just don't. Interesting. You can argue that it might, because the Tomb Herald only has 2 wounds. He only has light armor. He's gonna have like a 5 up, maybe a 4 up save on a mount or a chariot plus a shield. It's like buying 2 more wounds for 60 points almost. But you quickly lose them all. I don't know. My gut says no, never do that. But I wonder if when we get to magic items, we get reason to do that. Next up, we have Nehekhara. Movement 4, weapon skill, the skill 3, strength toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, leadership 7. A Nehekhara is going to cost you 60 points. They have flammable hatred and Nehekhara undead. Ooh, and the Wrath of the Creator. The Nehekhara confers hatred to the unit he joins. It also has the Stone Shaper special rule. Any unit of animated constructs within 12 of the character with the Stone Shaper rule gains a 6-up regeneration. It's only 6-up. I'd like to have seen that to be more of a 5-up. So I've seen Luca use Nehekhara in the past. 60 points to give hatred. For model, toughness 4 and a 6-up armor save. I'm not seeing the value for hatred for 60 points. Maybe. But maybe there's some magic items later in this book that makes them even more interesting. Oh, is that it for our characters? I guess it is kind of a lot of types. Yeah. Alright, core units. Let's talk about our skeleton warriors. They are 4 points per model. That seems really cheap. They have movement 4, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 initiative, 1 attack, leadership 5. Remember, they can never march. And, okay. They can take spears for 1 point and light armor for 1 point, but they do come with shields. Okay, so they're cheap. They're cheap. I'd probably buy light armor, make them 5 points per model, and get that parry save. That being said, if you have them with spears, that's not terrible either, an extra rank of attacks. But a horde of these for 50 points? Wait, that's not accurate. Learn to do math. A horde of these is going to cost you 200 points. 30 points for your command. 230 points, a horde of infantry. Only weapon skill 2. But I mean, if your prince or king is in this unit, they are going to be weapon skill good. Is it? Do princes hand that off as well? My will be done is on. Okay, this is on the tomb prince. Yep, my will be done. So you can handle weapon skill 5. Weapon skill 2 is not great. I mean, you're going to hit most things in the game on a 4+. The second you're going up against elite infantry, they'll be hitting back on 5. Weapon skill 2 hits weapon skill 5 on 5. But if you have a tomb prince or tomb king in the unit, you're fine. You don't even care. So cheap infantry right there. Skeleton archers, same stats. They come with a bow instead of a shield. 1 point more per model. They have the heirs of the ASAP rule. And they may take light armor for 6 points. I would never do that. So 60 points for 10 archers hitting on 5s. This is the true strength of your army. You just spam as many of these. To the point, remember I said I wasn't going to talk about comp systems, but in a tournament setting, basically Tomb Kings were given a bunch of extra points because the army is weak as a whole. However, they limit the amount of archers you can bring, because if you just bring 2,000 points worth of archers, and 1,500 points for the archers and then some characters, it's just gonna dominate. It's just too good. Your archers are where it's at. You got to bring a lot of these. But there's a fine line where if you don't bring enough, you're gonna lose the game. If you bring too much, it's not fun to play against. Find that line with your group. So far, I want Luca to add more and more archers to his list. I want to see what that line is, where it's like, okay, this is too much. I don't know. I can't. But he hasn't got there yet. But he hasn't gone too crazy on bows yet. I think he's brought 40 at the most. And I believe the comp systems were like, you can't go past 100. Maybe it might have been 80. But he hasn't even come close to encroaching that line. So I want to play against a Tomb King army where he brings like 80 bows. I want to see how good that actually is. Now, more core. We also have Skeletal Horsemen. Okay, so 12 points per model. They come with a spear and shield. They have the Vanguard rule built in, and they can take light armor for 2 points per model. Now, the Skeletal Steed is weapon skill 2 and initiative 2. The Horseman is the same stats as the regular skeleton. The Sergeant has additional attack. I don't see much value here. Because what do you have? If you make them 14 points per model, you have a 4-up save on a weapon skill 2 model. I don't know what they do for the army anymore, but they look cool. But they have Vanguard. You know what? Because they have Vanguard, I'm sure you can make use out of them. The problem with these models are they move 8, but they can never march. And they're basically fast cavalry that can't march. Okay, so they're fast cavalry, but they lose all their special rules like march and stuff like that. They're not going to help you control the table that much. They're too slow, but they're just as frail as fast cavalry. This is a little frustrating. But they're cheap. 14 points per model with light armor, 12 points otherwise. They're going to die, though. And then we have Skeleton Horse Archers that start at 14 points per model. They come with a bow instead of a spear and shield. They have the arrows of the Asap special rule. They are fast cavalry. And they have scouts. Ooh! I just think we don't have these models. I don't know why I haven't really seen these on the table that often. I would totally use that. With scout, fast cavalry, whatever. Not helping them too much. They're not going to be enough of a distraction just to have them scout behind your opponent's line. If your opponent's army is small, if you're going up against orcs and goblins, these aren't going to help you. The orcs and goblins are going to fill their whole deployment zone, so they're not going to help you at all. If you're playing against a horde army, bringing a unit of horse archers is going to help your opponent. I'm telling you straight up. If you're playing against an elite like elven army, I can see these horse archers being useful. And then another core unit, we have a Skeleton Chariots. These are 55 points per model. They are strength and toughness 4 chariots with 3 wounds. You only have armor save of 5+, but whatever. These are chariot units with 4. 2 charioteers and 2 horses per model. And every charioteer has 2 attacks. So you have 6 weapon skill. Oh, they're weapon skill 3. They're the elite. You have 6 weapon skill 3 attacks per chariot. on top of their impact attack. Ooh, they also come with bows. They have arrows of the sap? Yes, they do. I think everything that shoots has arrows of the sap. So you're always hitting on 5s. They may take a magic standard worth of the 25 points. I don't know how good that is yet. And let's go see what we know about archers with this. Or sorry, these chariots with the special rules. Okay. Chariot legions. A rank of skeleton chariots only needs 3 models to count for a rank bonus. Okay, not bad. In addition, skeleton chariots add their rank bonus to the strength of any impact attacks they have. Okay, so they're only strength 4. It's not terrible, but if you bring 6 in the squad, and you don't lose any before they charge. The front rank is a 3d6 strength 5 impact attack. And characters with chariots can join chariot units. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I like it. They're the iconic Tomb Kings. They've had their heyday, and they've had their bad times as well. 55 points per model. Like I don't think they're necessary by any means for an effective Tomb King's army. I'd say bring more skeleton archers, but they're so iconic. You got to have at least a unit. So they're so Tomb King-esque. All right, let's talk about some special units. We're going to start off with the Tomb Guard at 11 points per model. Tomb Guard are moving 4, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3. Remember, you don't care about that too much. If you want a king in there, make them weapon skill 6. They are strength and toughness 4, 1 wound, initiative 3, 1 attack, leadership 8. They come with light armor and shield, and they have killing blow. The unit may take halberds at 2 points per model. I don't know if I want halberds. Halberds make them strength 5. But the light armor shield gives them a 5 of save and a 6 of parry. They may have a magic standard worth up to 50 points. They seem a little lackluster, but at least they're only 11 points. And killing blow can hard counter some armies. Like Bretonians don't want to deal with these guys. But any other regular standard 8th edition horde isn't a. But I mean, 11 points per model. Strength and toughness 4, killing blow. They're not that bad. They're just not that great. They don't have a whole lot of special to them. But I like their point cost. Necropulse Knights are the next choice at 65 points per model. They are mounted on these giant Cobra construct things. They're basically Tomb Guard on Cobra giant things. They're animated constructs, which means they have a 5 up bar. But they have Killing Blow on the Riders, Nehekhara and Undead for the entire unit, poison attacks on the mounts, and Stone Hide. They can be upgraded to Entombed the Sands at 5 points. 5 points per model. This is the thing where I've seen Luca try to do that numerous times. It never works. Also, you forget. But once he puts them on the table, they seem to do a lot better. Huh. Luca is playing these guys with a 3-up armor save. I can't see why. Oh, you know what? Maybe if I go... No. Interesting. Maybe it's in the FAQ or something? Let's go check the Necropulse Knights. Okay. So, Stonehide, of course. It's the rule I had to go check. Stonehide. Necropulse Knights have an armor save of 3+. This is taking into effect any contracts and all that. Yeah, okay. So 3-up armor save, 65 points per model. Okay, how many wounds on this Necro Serpent? So it's movement 7, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 3 attacks, 8. Monstrous Cav. So, yeah, I like the point cost. Your toughness 4, 3 wounds each, 3-up armor save, 65 points. Not bad. Not so good that you want to bring a whole bunch of them all the time. Like if these are 45 points a model, you'd see them in droves and be spammed like crazy. 65, not terrible. Tomb Scorpion next. 85 points to Tomb Scorpion. Movement 7, weapon skill 4, strength and toughness 5. 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 4 attack, leadership 8. Comes with magic resistance 1. It is a monstrous beast. His attacks are poisonous. He does have killing blow. He is entombed beneath the sands. And animated construct. These things, I used to love these. I've not seen them do anything effective at 85 points ever. The only value I see on these guys are entombing them beneath the sands, remembering that you have them, rolling for them, and then go hunting war machine. But, 85 points is not the cheapest. Also, not that bad. Ushabti are 50 points per model. They are the big statue warriors. They are your monster infantry. Movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 2, strength and toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 3 attacks, leadership 8, monsters infantry. They come with a hand weapon and a great weapon. They have animated constructs, they have arrows of sap, and they have Nehekhara undead. They can have a full command. And they replace their great weapons with great bows. Great bows are, let me see, they're probably printed over. Great bows are range 30, strength 6 with the volley fire special rule. So you have with skill 2, we have arrows of sap, so you're hitting on 5. This is interesting. I have never seen these models with the bows in person ever. We have recently at Mini Wargaming purchased a bunch of Tomb Kings to add to the studio army. Nobody had any of these models. I'm confident if anybody has any Ushabti with great bows for sale, Mini Wargaming will buy them. You just email me, steve@miniwargaming.com, if you have any, and what your price is. Honestly, painted, unpainted, any condition doesn't really matter. We just love to see them on the table at least once. That being said, great weapons, 3 attacks each, have strength 6, not terrible. The bows are going to be 1 attack per model, right? Like, I can't see the bows being any good at all. Maybe that's why nobody had them to sell. 50 points per model just seems a bit up there for what they are. They are undead, and they are constructs. But again, they suffer from this unit may never march. So they're movement 5. They're too easy to avoid. It's too easy to pick your fights against Tomb Kings. So if it's not going to be standing in the backfield with quality or quantity of bow fire, you're probably not getting good effect out of the unit. So with Shabti, I mean, I guess you can argue a big horde of them will do work. You don't care about picking your fight. But that's also really expensive point-wise. So another unit that's like, it's not bad. The fact that it can't march hurts, and the fact that its point cost seems a little on the high side, like everything in this book. And then we're going on to the Tomb Swarm. It's a swarm. It's a swarm with poison attacks that can entomb beneath the sand. They're 40 points per base. Movement 4, strength toughness 2, 5 wounds, 5 attacks. It's a swarm. Nobody uses swarms. The fact that they are 2 beneath the sands could make them useful. But they're minimum 2 bases, so you're spending a minimum of 80 points. That's the problem here. 40 points might be very worth it for a base of swarms. But you have to have a minimum of 2, so minimum 80 points. I'd rather just buy a Tomb Scorpion instead for 85 points. Carrion are a unit that I've never seen on the tabletop, but we have some now at the studio, so we'll get some in the battle rep soon. They are unit size 3+. They have fly and Nehekhara undead. Remember, they can never fly. I mean, they can never march, so they're flying around 10 inches. They have movement 2, weapon skill 3, strength and toughness 4, not bad, not bad. 2 wounds, pretty good. Initiative 3, 3 attacks, and leadership 4. They are war beasts, but they have Nehekhara undead. And they're 24 points per model. You're looking at, 72 points for a minimum squad of 3. And they only fly 10. Well, like if they flew 20, if they marched, this would be an auto include, always bring, no matter what. Too cheap unit. But they only fly 10, so it's gonna be harder to keep them from getting caught by the enemy. But they have 3 attacks at strength 4 each at 24 points per model. This isn't the stats to points aren't bad. You only suffer for the fact they can't march. All right, the Cimmerian. I want to say Cimmerian. Cimmerian War Sphinx is 210 points. It is a monster with movement 6, weapon skill 4, strength 5, toughness 8, 5 wounds, initiative 1, 4 attacks, leadership 8. It is crewed by Tomb Guard. It has 4 Tomb Guard on there, and they're just 4 more strength 4 attacks. But they have spears in the charge. So it is an animated construct. It does have how to crew rules. Killing blow on the Tomb Guard, obviously. It's a large target, obviously. It causes terror. It has Thunder Crush attack. It has 2 upgrades, Envenom Sting and Fiery Roar. Now, okay, This thing has no save whatsoever, but it is toughness 8. That's more, like everything's gonna wound this thing on a 6. But poison will be your downfall. See if I can find the worst things. Alright, Thunderous attack. After his crew attacked, the Cimmerian War Sphinx may exchange all of his attacks. Remember, he has 4 Strength 5 attacks. To a single Thunder Crush attack. Roll to hit against the highest weapon skill amongst the enemy models in base contact. If this attack hits, place a small round template anywhere so that it is touching the Cimmerian War Sphinx. Any infantry, war machines, swarms, underneath the template, friend or foe, suffer a single Strength 3 hit. Maul underneath the hole takes a Strength 9 hit at D3 wound. Meh. I'm not liking that. You can upgrade for the Venom Sting. All attacks made by this model have the Poison Attack special rule. It does not affect the crew. Any characters mounted on it, because you can mount characters on this guy. And doesn't affect Thunder Crush or Thunder Stomp attack. Fiery Roar, you're going to upgrade to all the time, 100% without a doubt. It gives the strength. It gives a strength 4 breath weapon attack. I think that was 20 points to the Fiery Roar. Yeah, Fiery Roar. So you did consider this monster costing 230 points because you're always going to buy the breath attack. Now you can purchase these as special. You can have 3 in your army. You can have your characters riding this. Has a couple more and maybe Law Lord slot. And there are also other big monsters. You can do a monster mash Tomb King's army. Absolutely. And you know what? Spamming Cimmerian War Sphinx isn't a terrible option. Kind of works. Now, if you're playing against skinks with a bunch of blowpipes, you might get torn down. You gotta get to them fast though. But spamming this monster mash type thing kind of works. Monster mash and bows. I love the Cimmerian War Sphinx. No complaints with that whatsoever. Next, we have the Sepulchral Stalkers. I can't say that word. 55 points per model for Monstrous Beasts. They are 3+ unit. You have to have 3 minimum in a unit. I'm trying to say that. They have movement 7, weapon skill 3, strength toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 2 attack, leadership 8. They can be entombed beneath the sands. They're animated constructs. They're Nehekhara undead, and they come with halberds. So they're basically 2 strength 5 models per base. At only 55 points, isn't terrible. Problem is, they only have a 5 armor save and toughness 4. They also have the transmogrifying gaze, though. They're going to stare at you with their crazy eyes. I'm going to go ahead and try to find them in this book. It is a shooting attack with a range 8, strength of 1. And then, okay, so it's a magical attack. Does not require roll to hit. Instead, when a unit shoots, roll artillery dice for each of your stalkers in that unit and add the results together. The target unit suffers a number of automatic hits equal to the result. And you roll against the target's initiative instead of their toughness. Your strength 1, but you're rolling against initiative. Which means you're almost still wounding, like you. Initiative 2 is very prevalent in this game, but you're still wounding those on fire. If you have no initiative, you're immune to this attack, but I don't think that exists anymore. No armor saves are allowed. And then for each misfire you roll on your artillery die, these stalkers take D3 automatic wounds with no armor saves allowed. As they glimpse their own reflections. I don't see the value of these guys whatsoever. They're a cool little gimmick, and too many of the sands pop up, get with an 8 or something, and then I-beam them. It could win you the game, but you're paying a lot of points for it. I just never see them do anything interesting. But they look cool, so go ahead and buy a bunch of them. What's next? Was that the last special? That was the last special. Going on to rare. A lot of options here. We're going to start off with the Necrolith Colossus. It's your big bone giant. 170 points for this monster. Movement 6, weapon skill 3, strength and toughness 6, 5 wounds, initiative 1, attacks 4, leadership 8. Comes with a huge sword. That's a hand weapon. Animated construct. So this is a giant with a 5 armor save. I'll take that. Maybe you can shut off a couple of bows. He does have the arrows of a sap, large target, Nehekhara undead, terror, and unstoppable assault. In the additional hand weapon, a great bow or a bow of the desert. The bow of the desert is 20 points, and the great weapon is 10. Great weapon seems like a whatever choice, 10 points more. You're already initiative 1, but you go from strength 6 to strength 8. But I would just buy an additional hand weapon for 5 points. One more strength 6 attack is great. Now, Bow of the Desert, I don't think they ever made a model for this. Did they ever have a model for the Colossus with the great bow? I don't think so. If it ever existed, by all means, send me a link. I've never once seen one. Let's see what the great bow does. Oh, sorry, the Bow of the Desert. Let's go swing back all the way. This is okay. Oh, sorry. Let's read the Unstoppable Assault special rule. In a turn in which a Necro is charged, every unsaved wound that is inflicted in close combat immediately allows an additional attack. Note that these additional attacks do not benefit from Unstoppable Assault special rule, but Thunderstomp. Oh, these additional attacks do benefit from Unstoppable Assault, but Thunderstomps do not. As long as you keep hitting and wounding when you charge, you just keep swinging. That's why I want to buy the extra hand weapon and keep chopping. 170 points, I think it's worth it. That's worth it all day long. Monster mash like crazy with the Tomb Kings. And obviously the Thunderstomp won't continue to work. But that would be cool if it did. Honestly, that'd be broken if it did. Okay, so the Bow of the Desert is just a bow thrower. Strength 6, multiple wounds. That's it. And he becomes a bow thrower. Ballistic skill 2, sitting on 5s. That's not terrible, but it costs. It's a 20-point upgrade. I think I'd just rather pay 5 points for additional hand weapon. Wait, could you do both? No, one of the following. If you could be armed with an additional hand weapon and a bow, I would do it for the lulz, and that's the only reason why. Because it might do something for you, but probably never going to work. But you know what? This is a big giant that can never march. A big problem for your army. But when he charges, he's going to do some work. And the fact that he at least comes to the 5 armor save, he's not going to get shot to death by skinks before he does anything. Actually, because he can't march, that still could happen. Hero Titan is another bone giant type model. Equipment is the icon of Petra and has the scales of Usurian. He has identical stats to the Necrolith Colossus, except he has 1 less attack. He only has 3 attacks. He has 5 points more than them, though. And he gains the spirit. He doesn't have Unstoppable Assault. He's not the fighty one. He has the Spirit Conduit special rule. So for 175 points, you're going to gain... Bam, this guy. 2 bound spells, and then a Spirit Conduit rule. So the Icon of Petra is a bound spell power level 3. It contains Shem's Burning Gaze. And then the Scales of Usurian is bound level 4. It contains Spirit Leech from the Lord of Death. Not bad. But what his true value is, the Spirit Conduit. Hero Titans acts as a magical loci for the army's Lich Priests. When a friendly Nehekhara undead wizard is casting within 12 of 1 or more Hero Titans, it adds D3 to the casting result of each spell he attempts to cast. It's 175 points you're paying for this guy. That is, adding D3 to every spell you cast is really, really, really good. But you're paying 175 points for him. That's really, really bad. But at least he has 3 more strength 6 attacks in close combat himself. You can help if when the opponent gets to your lines. And his Thunderstomp. So he's dual use. Like 175 points for the monster that he isn't worth it. 175 points for the Spirit Conduit that he isn't worth it. But if you get dual use of him, if you're getting that Spirit Conduit, which you will, and he's getting some Thunderstomps in for you, then he can kind of be worth it. He's really. This is one of the reasons why you see Tomb Kings getting more points. Everything is just really high in the point cost. But I've seen him in games a lot, and he's very common to see in a battlefield because that D3. I mean, there's certain spells that you need to get off, and your lore of the... We'll get to that. It ain't great. Necro Sphinx, 225 points. It's a monster, movement 6. Oh, yes, fly though. So movement 10. Strength 5, toughness 8, 5 wounds, 5 attacks. He can be upgraded to taking the Envenom Sting for 10 points, giving him poison. He has Decapitating Strike, Killing Blow. That's it. I think Decapitating Strike is his Killing Blow, though. As I try to find his page. Oh, there he is. So all the attacks are Killing Blow, fantastic. But for Decapitating Strike, before rolling to hit, nominate one of the Necrosync's attacks to be the Decapitating Strike, and roll separately. The special attack strikes at Strength 10 and has a heroic Killing Blow. Okay, he has 4 regular Killing Blow attacks and then 1 Strength 10 heroic Killing Blow attacks. Okay, not bad. He's fly. He's a monster that flies, but Nehekhara fly, so no more. Nehekhara, 225 points, toughness 8, 5 wounds. It's hefty. But anything short of poison, you'll be fine, right? Or, honestly, just a horde with a ton of attack. Like a horde of spearmen. You charge a horde of spearmen. If this guy charges a horde of spearmen, there's going to be so many attacks coming back at you. Every 60 wounds, will rip off one of your 5 wounds. And you're dead. I really believe that the toughness value for this army, for the monsters, should have been lowered to about 6 instead of 8. And give them all armor. But whatever. The Screaming Skull catapult for 90 points. It's your rock lobster. You have a catapult. It's a stone thrower. You can upgrade to have Skulls the Foe for 30 points. Go ahead and find this thing. So it built in with the Screaming Skulls, which means if you take any casualties from this thing, you're going to take a panic attack. Not bad. But if you upgrade the Skulls of the Foe, you take the panic test out minus from leadership. 30 points isn't worth that. It's 90 points for the Screaming Skull catapult. I want to call it the joke's name. It's 90 points for the Screaming Skull catapult, 30 points for the Skulls of the Foe. Leadership defense is too strong in 8th edition. You're never going to pay 30 points. It's way overpriced. For minus 1 leadership, you're going to be using a general leadership of 8, 9. You always have a BSB under 5 reroll. I mean, not always, but yeah. No, I don't know if I can afford the points for Skulls of the Foe. But there are plenty of games where you regret not having it. And then finally, the Cast of Souls. 135 points, and it's an auto-include. You play Tomb Kings, you bring a Cast of Souls. It's Strength 10 with 3 wounds. It's Toughness 10 with 3 wounds. The crew have light armor. The crew have Killing Blow. And whatever. You know what? You watched Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom? Not Temple of Doom. And the... a blue screen. Oh my god, this is embarrassing. Just click this right here. Nope, that's not it. That's the Last Crusade. Just click this right here. That's the Crystal Skull. Man, this is... Guys. Lost it. So if you see Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that's what this is. It's just the Lost Ark. It's the Ark of the Covenant. They're going to take the top off and your face is going to melt. How this thing works is... it has the Light of Death special rule. It has the innate bounce spell of 5. It's... Where is it? It's called the Light of Death. It's a direct damage with a range of 48. The target unit must take a leadership test on 3d6, adding the results together. If the test is passed, nothing happens. Otherwise, for each point the unit fails by, the unit that test suffers an automatic wound with no armor saves allowed. That's actually pretty good. Once the leadership test has been resolved, roll a d6. On a 3 or more, choose another unengaged enemy within 6. as the light just jumps, and it keeps on jumping. So you fail to jump. Now, yep, I can't talk about it now. So we used to play this where we would save our last 6 magic dice in every magic phase and throw 6 dice at it because it's an 8 bounce spell. Who cares if you miscast it? It doesn't matter, right? And you try to just do tons of damage with this. Lately, Luke has discovered that the best way to use this is to throw a couple of dice at this spell first, because it's going to bait out your opponent's dice. And if they fail this spell, you might take some wounds, because sometimes it doesn't do anything. But what it can do is terrifying. So no matter what, it's going to strip dice away from your opponent's dispel dice. Because you really want, and we're going to talk about it, you really want some other spells cast when you play Tomb Kings. So yeah, the tactical on this one, I think we've kind of decided that no longer save 6 dice to try to get this off every turn. Cast it early in the magic phase and try to bait out your opponent's dice. Lucas cast his first thing in numerous magic phases, and I chose to let it go off because I didn't have enough dice to dispel what I know he wanted. Because the lore of the Nehekhara, whatever it's called, is not great, but there's one spell in particular I'm terrified of. It also has the Come to Power special rule. It adds D3 dice to your power pool every magic phase. Amazing. It unleashes souls. When the casket is destroyed, roll D6 for each unit, friend or foe within 12. On a 4+, the unit suffers D6 strength 6 hits. And no armor saves will be taken. You kind of put this back away from your army. You don't get hit by it, but it's not that bad if you do, because you're on. Cast of Souls, auto-include. Always bring it. That's Tomb Kings. Not a whole lot to love. Because of points, right? And then the fact that you can't march really hampers your ability to play this game. We're going to talk about magic items and the lore of Nehekhara. But real quick, I know I don't typically talk about characters, but there's one I wanted to briefly talk about. Is it her? Yeah. Wait, is it her? I think it's the High Queen Khalida. Beloved of Asap. She has always strikes first. She's a mummy. She's flammable. She has the curse. He hates vampire counts. I love that lore. Her attacks are a poison. She can't be poisoned? Okay, yeah, here it is. So she has a blessing of sap. So if she joins any units, well, archers in particular, they use her unmodified ballistic skill in place of her own. Her ballistic skill is 6. Now all of a sudden, that's 4 wounds, hitting on 4 instead of hitting on 5. And all shooting attacks have the poison attack special rule. She comes with an arcane item, bound spell, power level 5. The magic missile range 24 and takes 2d6 strength 4 hits. That's fine. But the fact that you can take a big old horde of archers and give them ballistic skill 4, and they ignore all modifiers for hitting on 4s, and their poison attacks. And how many points is he? I don't remember how many points she was, but I remember it being like, oh, that's kind of cheap. Oh, no way. Woo. I remember her being sub 200. I was way off. She's 365 points. Wow. She's toughness 5 with 3 wounds. Initiative 9 for whatever reason. But she always strikes first. And leadership 10. Weapon skill 6. No. Man, I remember her being a lot less points. But either way, that could make a terrifying Death Star for bows. You're just gonna like machine gun things down. Alright, let's talk about magic items and spells. Man, I love the artwork of these books. I was looking at some new Shabti with great bows. They're beautiful. And of course, I'm going the wrong way. Alright, let's do treasures first. We'll get to this page first. So we have the Destroyer of Eternity's magic weapon for 80 points. So I already know I'm not going to like it. If you watch any of these reviews, the first magic weapon is always a ridiculously high priced weapon that nobody. So let's see what this is. It's a Tomb King on foot only. Okay, so he's not going to be able to survive. He can't afford magic defense. It's 80 points. Attacks made with Destroyer of Eternities is +2 strength and have the heroic killing blow special rule. You can exchange all your attacks to make a sweep attack. If he does, all enemies in base contact with the wielder suffer an automatic hit. Add all strength +2, so strength 7. If you're riding a chariot or a monster, they both take a hit. If he's in a challenge. Wait, there's nothing else? That's terrible. That's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's worth maybe 50, 60 points. Not even 60, maybe 50 points. It's way overpriced. It's terrible. It's hurl, killing blow, great weapon that can sweep. Remember, you're on a 25 mil. You're on a 20 mil base. You can attack what? 3 models? If you sweep? Terrible. The Blade of Antharak, 50 points. For every unsaved wound inflicted by the Blade of Antharak, the wielder immediately regains a single wound. That's not bad. If the bearer is already at a starting number of wounds and inflicts another unsaved wound, he gains your regeneration special roll at the end of the next player turn. That's not terrible. The problem is you're just competing with the standard great weapon. You already have bad initiative. You're already strength 5. Great weapon is just a solid weapon for Tomb King. The Golden Death Mask of Karnut, 60 points. New. The model wearing the mask causes terror. Meh. In addition, enemies units within 6 of the wearer cannot use their general's inspiring presence special rule, or their battle center bearers hold your ground. I like that. The problem there is too expensive. If this was 50 points, I would see use of it. The fact that it's 60 points prohibits, I don't know, like the Talisman of Preservation or Armor of Destiny, which I think the Tomb King kind of needs. I kind of like that item. It's just a little too expensive. Maybe it'd be broken. It wouldn't be broken. I would like to see more things turn off Inspiring Presence. It's too late now. The game's been dead. It's not dead. They haven't updated it in many, many years. So it's not going to change, but I would have liked to have seen more things turn off Inspiring Presence or the Hold Your Ground. Cloak of the Dunes for 50 points. Infantry character on foot only. You gain fly. You fly over a unit in the remaining move phase, which should be hard to do because you're only able to move 10. The unit takes 2d6 strength 2 hits. It's nothing. Nothing item. Nehekhara's in scrolls of Nehekhara. Nehekhara scrolls of mighty incantations for 1 use only. It's an arcane item. A wizard can declare that he's using the scrolls of mighty incantations immediately before casting a spell. When he does, the wizard must add a number of extra dice. Must add a number of extra bonus dice equal to the wizard level. But you must use at least 1 die from the power pool. That's actually not really good. That's really good. That's not to include. Okay, sorry. Let me finish reading. However, any roll of double when casting the spell will cause irresistible force and a miscast. You need to pull 1 dice to the pool. Your level 4 will throw 5 dice at a spell. Hopefully, your opponent has used up all their magic dice, and it's going to get off a spell that you need to get off, which is called Righteous Smiting. We'll get to that in a bit. I would always buy this and hope that I never have to use this at magic. I'm not going to try end kills. Canopy? 25 points, arcane item. Bound spell, power level 3. If successfully cast, roll d6 for every remains in play spell in the game. 2 plus the spell is dispelled. For each spell that's ended this way, add a d3 to your power dice. Oh, add d3 to the power dice in your power pool. Not bad. Okay, now we have a couple of banners. We have a 50-point standard of the Undying Legion. It comes with a bound spell, power level 5. The banner contains an augment spell. If successfully cast, the bearer's unit immediately recovers d6 plus 2 wounds worth of models. Described as resurrecting. I don't think I need to go over the resurrecting. Okay, Banner of the Hidden Dead is 90 points. So there's an interesting note on this, and it does look like my handwriting, but I don't remember doing this. It says nominate. Okay, so first of all, the Banner of the Hidden Dead is nominate one of your units of infantry, cavalry, or chariots with a Nehekhara undead rule that is not yet deployed, whose total value points can be no greater than 150 points. Now, apparently I scratched that out and wrote 175 next to it. It must have been errated to 175 points. That unit gains the Entombed beneath the span special rule, and when this unit arrives on the battlefield, you must place Entombed beneath the stands marker within 12 of the Banner of the Hidden Dead. In addition, anybody entombed that tries to come up within 12 of the, or the markers placed on 12 of this. You get to reroll it. It's 90 points. It's way too expensive. Way too expensive. It's trying to be fancy when this army doesn't really do fancy. It does bows and monsters. All right, let's talk about the lore of the Nehekhara, which is not a great lore, but it has one spell that is really, really well. Okay, so the lore attribute is called the Restless Dead. Each time a wizard successfully casts an augment spell from the lore of the Nehekhara at a friendly Nehekhara undead unit, the target of the spell immediately recovers D3 plus 1 wounds, as described according to a Fallen Model. Models with the animated contract special rule only ever recover 1 lost wound. So, this is an army that does much of incantations, augments and hex and stuff like that. And when you augment your own units, that's how you bring models. And honestly, in practice, I don't think Tomb Kings bring back nearly as many models as Undead. But that's one of the Tomb King's weaknesses. The signature spell is an 8+ to cast. It's called it's the Desert Wind. Augment spell that targets all unengaged friendly Nehekhara undead within 12. Targets can immediately make a normal move as if the remaining move soak phase. The wizard can choose to have this spell target all unengaged friendly units within 24. In that case, the casting value is 16. No, okay. So this is basically your marching. You can move in your movement phase, a normal move, 4 to 8 inches depending on what you want. Right? You have to be within 12 of the wizard casting this. Is using your dice, like, just to do what normal armies do, you have to cast your signatures. Now, to get real use out of it, you have to cast it at the 24-inch range. And that costs 16 to cast doing that. This is one of the reasons why the army is kind of forced into one particular place. It can't play the movement at all. So your marching is basically a spell. And you don't want to throw dice at it, but sometimes you got it. Alright, let's go through the 6 spells. So number 1 is Cursed Blades, is a 7+ to cast. Augment spell with a range of 12. Target's close combat attacks gain a Killing Blow special rule. If you already have Killing Blow, or Whole Killing Blow, the special rule will take effect on a 5+ instead of the 6, if you already have it. And you can choose to extend the range to 24, and the casting value is 10+. Oh, sorry. Close combat attack. I mean, bows be Killing Blow, that'd be amazing. So yeah, it's not a bad spell. You're gonna cast it at the 24-inch range. You get your whole army. Your whole army gains Killing Blow. Not a bad spell. And then Incantation of Protection for 9 points. Augment. Oh, sorry. Because it's an augment, you're also gonna heal D3 plus 1 wounds with models. As does the Desert Wind move. If you move and heal, you give them Cursed Blades and heal. You cast the Incantation of Protection and heal. D3 plus 1 wounds worth of models. So the Incantation of Protection is 9+ to cast. It's an augment with a range of 12. The target unit gains a 5 aboard save. Not bad. I like that. The wizard can instead choose to have affect all undead units within 12, and the casting value is 18. That's a little harder. You kind of put it on your horde. The next one is the Incantation of Righteous Smiting. This is the spell you need to have. Okay, I'll do kind of a wrap up to kind of explain. So it's a 9+ to cast. It's an augmentation spell with a range of 12. The target's attacks are increased by 1 until the start of the caster's next magic phase. This includes attacks from mounts, mauls, crewing war machines, chariots, monsters, or whatever. In addition, the target is armed with a bow or a great bow. It gains the multiple shot 2 special roll until the start of the caster's next magic phase. Now, remember, multiple shots 2 would normally be -1 to hit. Everything with a bow has the arrows of the sap. You're just hitting on 5. You can choose to target all friendly undead Nehekhara within 24 inches by making the spell 18. Alright, number 4 spell, the Incantation of Vengeance. It's a 10+ to cast. It's a hex spell, so this one's not going to heal your models. Range of 18, the target unit suffers -D3 to the movement to a minimum of 1. And treats all terrain, even open ground, as dangerous terrain. Testing every time it moves, blah blah blah. The wizard can extend the range to 36 inches and make it a 13 to cast. That's not a bad spell. Incantation of Desiccation, 11 plus. It's a hex with a range of 24. The target unit has -1 strength and -1 toughness. It's actually a good spell. Until you cast its next magic phase. You can choose to increase it by D3 strength and toughness. By increasing the casting value to 22. That's 2. It's both of them, so maybe it's not. And then finally, we have Incantation of Skullstorm on a 15 plus to cast. It is a magical vortex that remains in play. A small round template. Okay, so once the template is placed, the player nominates the direction in which the Skullstorm will move. Determine how many inches it moves, roll into their dice, and multiply the result by the caster's wizard level. Misfire centered on the caster, blah blah blah. Any model under the template or path toward the template suffers a strength 4 hit. And in subsequent turns, the Skullstorm travels in a random direction and moves a number of inches equal to their artillery die. The wizard can infuse the Skullstorm with more power, so it has large template instead of whatever, and it becomes 25 to cast. That's not even comparable to the other big bad spells. It's just the 15 to cast, only strength 4, small blast, not going to get you that much work. 25 to cast for strength 4, large blast, it's probably not worth the risk. So a lot of these spells, they're not bad. They're also not great. Well, Incantation of Desiccation it's one of those game-winning spells. I'll give you that. The problem is all these spells and all the rules, everything this book tells you to pretty much do one thing. Because you try to play normal Warhammer. Well, first of all, if you try to play normal Warhammer with the undead factions, you gotta play a little different anyway. But trying to play normal Warhammer with this book, you just can't do. To me, it's a movement phase game. This army can't do it because the only way to really move is to use their magic dice, and you don't want to do that typically. And your opponent can just dispel it. So if you put your points into archers, and big cast, you have to get Righteous Smiting, and big cast Righteous Smiting. Getting 2 shots per archer, just throwing that, it's gonna get work done for sure. I can't tell you times I'm saving my spell dice because I know my opponent has Righteous Smiting, and I don't want him 40, 60, whatever archers to be making those 80 archers or 120 archers. I don't want to double those bow shots at. You want to get Righteous Smiting off. And you don't want your opponent to spell it, right? Righteous Smiting is your key if you spam archers. That being said, Desiccation is really, when your opponent's ready to charge, you can desiccate them, make their strength and toughness terrible, and even your archers will beat them in close. There's a king in there. Maybe their archer's weapon skill 6. I mean, they're hitting on 3s, probably wounding on 2s because your toughness got really low, and your opponent can't wound you back. You're gonna win that fight. Also, Incantation of Desiccation. Also, not you put it on a unit to lower their toughness and then throw bows at them. So Incantation of Desiccation is the clear winner spell that everybody would want, but it works really well with Righteous Smiting. You can also use the Incantation of Vengeance to slow your opponent down so you can shoot them more. Sure. And then Incantation of Protection to give a 5 ward save to your big horde of archers for when your opponent does get to you. Basically, you want to, I think, I'm not sure if you want a lot of little squads of archers or one big squad or maybe one big squad and some more little archers, but this whole army in the lore, while not that interesting, it has no big bad scary spell other than Righteous Smiting for doubling up all the archer shots. I'm not worried that spell's going to end my army. Then again, Desiccation can kind of. Yeah, this book wants you to play with a bunch of archers. That's what they want you to do. Maybe say some chariots for counterattacking. You don't need to do that. I think the scariest Tomb King army to fight against is if they have just a whole lot of archers and a whole lot of Khemri wars. That's what I'm afraid of. Monsters and archers in this book, and you can go all monster. Well, you can go most you can spam monsters and you can spam bows. I think a combo of the both is the scariest. Maybe the bows. There you go. There's Tomb Kings. Everything's a little on the expensive side point wise. It doesn't allow you to play the game like everybody else does. But it does have some nice combos that work quite well, which is the bows and Righteous Smiting. And then there's more ways to play than just that. You can go infantry, and you can bring a bunch of Tomb Kings and Princes and have quality infantry. Make sure you protect them with your magic. You have the right, was it something protect Frost Protection? Make sure you have a ward save. Maybe a Killing Blow and a 5+ and a 5-up ward save on Halberd wielding Toon Guard. Not a terrible unit. They're not that expensive. Tomb King in there, making them weapon skill 6. Make sure for that Tomb King, he's armed with on the Armor of Destiny for a 5-up armor and a 4 board save. And then you give him a great weapon. It's probably, I don't know, what else can you buy him for 50 points? Another option, I guess you can go Armor of Silvered Steel, 2-up armor. Buy Talisman of Preservation for a 4 board save. And then great weapon. Like, he'll get work done. But yeah, there's no good magic weapon for the Tomb Kings. So the magic weapons are very lackluster, except for that one. Magic items as a whole are very lackluster. And not a whole lot of special in this book because it was like the first one. It's like one of the old for 8th edition. But visually one of the best looking armies in the entire line. And you absolutely can find a way of playing. I recommend, if you're playing Tomb Kings, start off with bows and then start to learn how other things work more and more, and you find better combos. There are some very experienced Tomb King players out there. Hopefully they add more in the comment section below. Read and add anything they want. If you disagree with anything I said, please add in the comments below. If you think I misinterpreted or misunderstood something, please comment below and point it out. If you have any other tips for Tomb King players, please comment below. And in fact, you know what I'm going to start doing? If anybody has, because I'm not a very experienced Tomb King player, if anybody has good tips, I'll keep checking the comments and I'll try to pin them to the top. So that if you're coming here for Tomb King information, I'll get you some good stuff in the comments too, hopefully. There you go, guys. I'm going to record another one right now. I think I'm going to do Wood Elves next. So stay tuned for that, probably in a couple of days. We'll go through a Wood Elf 8th edition army book. Thanks for watching, everybody.